Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months.
Kyoto Bowl fam, it's the director. Chihuahua. I don't know what to tell you guys, man. I don't even want to be here. This blows. The Chargers season, it's looking pretty rough. I don't know if we're at the point of no return. I still think no. I still think the Chargers, again, it sucks to be talking about this in October, but mathematically, like, you can't quite count us out yet. And you look at the schedule and you think, my goodness, okay, starting with our matchup versus the Bears, which, by the way, reminder, no stream next week. I will be at that game personally. If you guys want to have a chance to hang out with me and we can chat, we can meet, I will be at Thunder Alley for at least 2 or 3 hours before the game. Starting off with the Bears, the schedule looks a little bit better. Just the state of the team right now is pretty rough. So much so, as a matter of fact, the opening image I wanted to show you guys was the Chargers punting on the season. Nah. Pat on the back to J.K. Scott, one of the best punters in football. But also kind of indicative of the issues with the Chargers right now. Offensively, we stall. Defensively, we stall. I think we're more skidding into a crash defensively lately. And I think at this point, I've been able to take this game, which I already had expectations for, but start planting some flags with. Okay, I went into this game thinking it's probably not going to be great. As a matter of fact, I'm expecting the worst this time. But you know what? Let's put our feet up and try and find some good in this game. And despite that, I think I've been able to gather some evidence that make me feel one way or another as I can start maybe making some statements about what this team needs right now, or maybe what it needs in the future, and if there's any hope left for this season. So let's talk it out, Bolt fam. It's tough out there right now. It is so tough out there. I'm a fan just like you guys. I'm hurting inside, but we got to find a way to hash this out. Before we do, guys, please save your football seasons. Go sign up for Underdog Fantasy right now. I'm telling you, I'm begging you, Chargers fans, please. The season is looking kind of rough. If you guys want a way to still enjoy the games, Chargers or otherwise, use code DIRECTOR to match your first deposit up to $100 when signing up for the best fantasy platform on the web. Trust me, it is the remedy for a tough season every which way. Before we do kick off, hit us up with the like and sub. If you do enjoy this Chargers content, the small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, bell notifications helps me out a lot. Let's get into it. Lights, camera.
Action!
Your Chargers at Chiefs post-game report. And I think I'm ready. I think we're going to go ahead and title this one Staleys Demise. And I'll be the first to say that, yeah, I've given a couple of chances here and there, maybe one too many, to our guy Brandon Staley. Okay. I, for one, just want to make sure it's not for trying to let him skid by and get away with everything. It was more so due diligence of, I don't want to let something go that could turn out to be another Shane Steichen. We've seen a couple of Chargers front office guys and coaches go elsewhere and find a lot of success. We want to make sure we don't do that again. However, this time, even in this game, I think that, again, rather officially, I'm kind of ready to move on from the Brandon Staley phase of the Los Angeles Chargers. And again, nothing against Brandon Staley, the person. Definitely the kind of personality that I jive with. I don't want them in charge of my football team. And coming from this game in particular, I think says a lot, because coming into the Chargers at Chiefs and Arrowhead, one of the toughest plays in the sport to play versus the reigning Super Bowl champions, I wasn't going in here and saying Staley is playing for his job. I think I've said that several other games in the past, but not this one. This one I was like, I kind of know what's going to happen, but here's what we need to do despite the situation. I think despite the situation, the Chargers need to prove to me, a fan, that we can build something in this situation despite the pushback. And what I mean by that is the Chargers were very likely not going to win this game. I mean, again, respect to, even if they're a division rival, probably still the best team in football in the Kansas City Chiefs, as it pains me to admit. Good team, one of the best, if not the best. But I also wanted to see something in this game that kind of pushed my optimism for the future of the season, right? This season needed something built in this game to find success later. And let's be honest with ourselves, right? Let's all be real for a second. If you were the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, of course, you're going to do everything in your power to win that game. But I also think we have to be realistic in terms of, I don't know if we're getting away with this one. It's a Kansas City Chiefs. We've been down bad this season. It's been a rocky start. We're trying to right the ship. How can we take this and make it into an opportunity to improve is what I would do. And again, I'm no head coach. I'm just some Yahoo on YouTube. What I would have done in this game was try to correct some errors to right the ship a little bit better, to straighten our paths a little bit for the future of this season. Some of those errors I felt were play calling on defense. I felt the play calling, especially in this game on defense, was absolutely horrendous. The point where we're going to talk more about it in a second, but it could be the main factor as to why I want to move on from Brandon Staley. Other corrections, like why not see what we have in some of these players that we've been waiting to see in terms of personnel and their skill and talent. And yes, some of it is in the wheelhouse of a Kellen Moore. We'll talk about that in a second. But where's Quentin Johnston? Right? I've seen a little bit more of Darius Davis. I think I've seen the amount of Darius Davis that I've been hoping to see at minimum, which has been great. But where's our number one, or I should say a first round pick? Nowhere to be seen. Where are, and this is one of the things that I was so excited to see with Brandon Staley when we initially brought him on, where is the creativity in the pass rush? And I see it every once in a while. And what's crazy is when I see it, it usually works. What I mean by that are the design blitzes by Brandon Staley. That was some of the most intriguing parts of his hire that made me excited about him potentially with the team, was his ability to use, what do they call it, the eagle front, right? And the way they lined up and how many they lined up in terms of the defensive linemen to get pressure, generate pressure. I've seen overload blitzes a couple of times from Brandon that have been very successful. We don't see that very often. I was thinking, was it week 2 or week 3? I think it was week 2 versus Ryan Tannehill, that the Chargers were lining up Bosa and Thule next to each other. It may have been a different game. But we found that that unit together was just causing so much havoc. It was amazing. I was like, man, this is the beginning of a beautiful a narrative of 2023 of we're going to get to the quarterback kind of rushing these guys on the same side. But yet I'm seeing, instead of these corrections that we could have made, again, maybe we lose this game, but at least we see that something's working in the pass rush. Instead of that, we kind of saw the same story, different game. And this is one big reason why I wanted to move on from Anthony Lynn. It was a stubbornness to adjust and to adapt and to change that really pushed me off of Anthony Lynn. And I'm seeing that same stubbornness, unfortunately, in Brandon Staley. And it makes me bummed out. I keep wondering how the Chargers keep picking them. How do we keep picking coaches that share that trait? And unfortunately, Anthony Lynn had his things he was stubborn on. Brandon Staley, it's gonna be this soft coverage, man. And this is funny. I found this photo on Chargers.com, and there's a couple of them out there where you just see this face of bewilderment on some of the players. I think it kind of speaks to maybe their displeasure, not just with the team, but with how it's being ran a little bit. I saw some quotes from Michael Davis. They're a little indicative of what's going on there with the coaching and the play calling. Kind of complaining about the lack of the lack of physicality at the DBs are being asked to do, and more of this soft coverage. And he kind of exclaimed something that I was talking a lot about during the stream, was why are we just letting Travis Kelce do whatever the heck he wants? Why are we letting him hit that same gap in the zone over and over again at just very minuscule different depths? Like, it was just the same thing over and over and over again. And this soft coverage, which, yeah, maybe back in the Gus Bradley days was starting to develop a little bit. We saw a little bit of a shift. Big Fangio system, which is not working. it just kind of really took grip of the team this year. Why? Why are we playing so soft? And what's funny is that not soft coverage doesn't mean you're going to be loose and play, scared. Sometimes that's kind of be what it means. But also soft just means, at least in my perspective, we're not taking the risk of playing physical. Yes, there's risk with playing physical. You can get beat. You can get beat pretty good. You can get beat into a bloody pulp and absolutely torched on the outside, especially. There are risks to playing physical, the defensive back, but in that kind of coverage. Man coverage specifically. Brandon said we played plenty of man. I think I saw some, but definitely not enough. I feel like the players want to play more physical. The fans with eyeballs are seeing that we need to play more physical, and for some reason, we keep sticking to this game plan of let's not let up too much, which unfortunately was really kind of, shooting themselves in the foot here. There was one drive or one play in particular that really caught my attention where Brandon Staley had a 3rd and 15 in front of him, right? Kind of got lucky with how everything worked out there. I think there was a false start or something that pushed him out, and we're like, yeah, man, all we got to do is not let up a first here. I think they're in Chiefs territory. We're good. Let's get a stop. And instead of what I would do, and I think what a lot of Chargers fans were asking in my chat do, sending some heat, we backed up all our DBs. Right, so basically we made them play on the line for the first down. And that's very soft. That's saying, hey, it's like we're gonna prevent you from getting the first down by playing where the first down line is. That's not gonna work in those situations. As a matter of fact, I think that gave Kansas City one of the best opportunities to convert in those situations. And we as a fan base are wondering, why are we so unlucky when it comes to third downs? Why are we one of the worst defenses in the league? Why are the Chargers have this, this reputation for letting up in big key and important game-changing moments? Honestly, it's the play calling. It's the play calling. It's the lack of adjustments, and it's the play calling. We've got some stars on defense, man. Especially on the pass rush. Brandon Staley's only ever going to send 4. It's kind of been a thing this season. Trying to make 4 work. Right? Like fetch. You guys know what I'm talking about? If you know what I'm talking about, we can be best friends. Stop trying to make fetch work. Is that what they say? I don't remember. Stop trying to make it work. Rushing 4 every time. You do that on Madden because the game's broken. In real life, you're going to have to throw some creativity in that pass rush. Especially on 3rd and 15. Let's get to the quarterback. I remember screaming at one point live, we got to throw 5 at Patrick Mahomes. And when we did, and it was right before we blitzed Kenneth Murray and picked up that sack on Patrick Mahomes, ended up forcing a punt that play. Why not do more of that? Why not play more physical, a little bit more daring and brave? And why not adjust? I did see some adjustments in the second half that were okay. But my word, the lack to adjust on the fly is pretty remarkable. And again, I tell people this all the time. I'm just some doofus that plays Madden. Who am I? I'm a Chargers fan that in terms of X's and O's, I don't have the perspective of these head coaches and these coordinators and anything like that. No way. So what's the deal? If my Madden booty can see what's going on with Travis Kelce, why aren't we adjusting? And what I mean, again, is that soft zone. That soft zone. He's just getting right on that hitch, just right over the linebacker. Like 4 or 5 times in a row in one drive. What's up? Why aren't we changing things up? It's infuriating. And what's even crazier is I feel like this team was built to be a man coverage team. Sure, things maybe are looking a little different now because of how much zone we do play, which again, we should still play some zone, obviously. Every team should play some zone. But I think this team is built for man coverage. Asante Samuel, when he was drafted, was looking to be a pretty nice man corner at the next level in the NFL. I know he's not with the team anymore, but J.C. Jackson, when he was signed, he was going to look like a very nice man corner for this team. Which, did it not work out because of JC or because of the The scheme, it could be both. I don't know. Michael Davis is begging to play more man. Press, I would say, something that we probably should also say. Press, play more press. Physical. We're not seeing that. Derwin's great in man coverage for safety. What's going on? Why aren't we playing to the strengths of our DBs? Especially when the game script is kind of calling for it. What's up? I also got to talk a little bit about our fearless leader, Justin Herbert. This segment called Herbert is Human. You guys want to know a funny story? And it's funny because my wife comes up and she tells me exactly this after it happened. My wife broke her finger. Not funny. She broke her finger, like literally yesterday. She comes up to me and she says, now I know how Justin Herbert feels. And I say, what? And she's like, I can't think of anything else besides the searing pain in my hand. I'm like, well, yeah, and that, I'm sorry. First off, I love you, sweetheart, and I'm sorry. Thing's big and purple, and it looks like it needs a little bit of attention. Get that looked at. But secondly, like Justin Herbert at the NFL level, he's going to have, different, access to the medical help and things to really help. And he's a tough guy, right? He's a football player. He says, no, I can't believe that there's anything out there that would move my attention away to the searing pain. My wife is a tough cookie. I'm going to say that right now. She's a Southern girl, the Alabama-bred woman. Okay, so she's a tough. I've seen her take some lickings, man. She really can stand back up. That sounded so bad. Not from me, okay? Just in life in general. She's a tough girl, and she told me that. And I'm sure a lot of us in the comments, myself included, we've broken bones before. We can tough it out. Anybody can tough it out. Broken bones are something that, depending on which ones, you can tough them out. You definitely can. But it doesn't change the fact that you're thinking about it pretty much the whole time. And again, we're not trying to make excuses for Justin Herbert, but I really have a hard time believing that hand doesn't have something to do with what's going on. And it's not because, oh, it sucks. We've all broken bones. It hurts. It's more of what my eyes told me. We watched it happen. It got caught on the helmet or whatever. And since that play, since he came back from that broken finger, he has not been the same. You take a look at the first couple of weeks. You take a look at just that Miami game. Look at the difference in between that game and the games we've seen recently with that broken finger. The accuracy is so much better versus Miami, versus the Titans. There's a clear difference in those games versus this game. That's just what my common sense and my eyeballs are telling me. Sure, he's a professional quarterback, you should put it, whatever. I'm just saying, Herbert's human. You cut him, he bleeds. I don't know. He still has my support. A lot of people throwing crap at him, like Twitter and sometimes my own comment section. I don't know what to say about that. Justin Herbert, we are still so lucky to have him. He's in a slump, okay? I get it. I have to think it's because of that hand, even if it's not. He's on which offensive coordinator at this point? Do I believe? I think more importantly, what you guys need to hear from me, do I believe Herbert's going to come out of this? Absolutely. There is no doubt in my mind that Justin Herbert is going to right the ship. When he does, everyone that's been slinging crap at him is going to hold it behind their back and say, oh, I believed in you the whole time. He will 100% be okay. All right? There's nothing that it's indicating in my mind that he's not, going to return to the form he was, 3 weeks ago? He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He really will. Okay? But he is human. He's got a broken hand. You play football with your hands. They've had to adjust to it. Hopefully, things get better from here on out. More time. Hopefully it has time to heal. We'll see. Herbert still does need to work on his decision making. He's really got to figure out the accuracy despite the pain. But he had another bad day. Not in terms of stats, but in terms of clutchness, whatever you want to call it. Ability to close out games. He still needs to build that trait at the next level. It is what it is. I still have my guy Justin Herbert's back, though. Speaking of showing your mortality, Moore is also human. He's not perfect. Kellen Moore, and I think, again, not. I hate this because it's hard to say anything without. You're making excuses, Drake. No. I'm just trying to call a spade a spade. I'm just trying to say, you know, my eyeballs tell me a certain story, and I want to use that information that it's telling me to paint a picture of what action to be taken later. And what my eyes are telling me in this game in particular, maybe the last couple of games, the defense is putting us in a tough position a lot of the times. The offense is putting ourselves in a tough position with lack of executions. Justin Herbert is hurt. For the most part, outside of maybe a drive or two, I haven't really been that upset at Kellen Moore's play calling. I'm going to be honest and straight with you guys. I think the play calling this season has been way better offensively. Way better. Way better. I think the factors revolving around it have been worse. And that's, again, I'm not trying to make excuses for Kellen Moore. He's got to adapt. He's got to, you know, work around the limitations that are on the team right now. But what I'm trying to say is, if Kellen Moore isn't the issue, and we send Kellen Moore away, and Kellen Moore becomes the coach of another football team, he brings the offensive philosophies that were to that team that were so effective with the Dallas Cowboys, what we were expecting to see here with the Chargers, is that on Kellen Moore, or is that on us? Not identifying the correct problems on the team. That's on us. That's on the Chargers. We've seen it with Shane Steichen and other coaches that have left the team. I don't want that to happen again. And I just so happen to be a pretty big believer in Kellen Moore. If we hired Kellen Moore instead of Brandon Staley, man, even back in 2020, I think, yeah, still, right? Because of the success of Dak Prescott at the time, I would have been very excited because I know Kellen Moore. I've seen Kellen Moore's success. He's got, I think, even a longer track history than Brandon Staley. You guys are, what, around the same age? Younger? I think Kellen Moore's younger. Whatever. I feel more comfortable with Kellen Moore and his ability to build something. There are revolving factors around him that I feel like got a hurt quarterback. The defense this game was particularly bad. There are things that I want him to fix that I don't like that he's doing, which I'm sure that he'll come around to. I don't like the cute stuff as much. I think we need to simplify things a little bit. I think Kellen Moore, and I hope Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley understand this at some point, and maybe I'm wrong, but what I see is maybe an overcomplicated system on both sides right now. The defense is too complicated. What we're trying to accomplish with the Vic Fangio thing, it's not working. The personnel's not there. Let's simplify it. Okay? What about the offense? I think the same a little bit. You know, there's things that we're kind of starting to see that's working with the personnel, like how we're utilizing a Darius Davis. That's great. No. But things like trying to force a run game that's not there right now, until we get the right personnel, I don't know what we're going to do there. Maybe we can improve the blocking. I don't know. Don't force it. Let's keep it simple. Hoping we see that adjustment here soon. The difference between Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley, though, and I hope that this message is heard, that I'm kind of seeing, and again, it's still early in Kellen Moore's time with us, I'm seeing more of a willingness to adjust Kellen Moore than I am Brandon Staley. And yes, I'm seeing some things repeat, but not as aggressively as I am with Brandon Staley. That's just from a fan's perspective. Okay. So, what's the plan? I kind of said this in my last video. I'm kind of going to lay it out again just real here quick, because I think, again, a lot of this video is, I think Brandon Staley to me is done. Unless he really has a crazy big turnaround for the rest of the season, I think at the very minimum at the end of this year, he needs moved away from the probably try and be a defensive mind somewhere else, because the defensive mindedness here is just not working. Backfired pretty bad. If I were in charge of the team, my next move, pretty immediately actually, which is something I normally would not condone in the middle of the season, would be to fire Brandon Staley. Even in the middle of the season, which again is a tremendous risk. I told you guys about this in my Bleacher Report video. Tremendous risk firing a coach this early in the season. It is rolling the dice. It really is. The trauma that you're putting your players through, your coaching, your front office, your system, your culture, everything it hits the reset button. Which is funny because Brandon Staley himself says we need a reset on this team. We do. But I think in this case, it's kind of worth the risk. Additionally, I think the risk is minimalized because we do have a very, very, very capable interim head coach. News alert. I don't know if anyone... I'm sure I've talked about this quite a bit. Kellen Moore has been interviewed several times for a head coaching position. I think at least twice, right? 3 times. Maybe more. I would have to believe if he didn't take the job with the Chargers this last year, he would have been interviewed and maybe even gotten a head coaching job this last season. And I fully believe, I really do fully believe that the Chargers hired this man as a contingency plan at head coach. I think, honestly, Kellen Moore took this job knowing that there's a chance I get promoted to head coach. If that's the case, I have Justin Herbert that I can definitely work with. I got a defense that honestly has got some studs on it. We'd find a good mind to take over on. I don't know. Feeling pretty good about that. So step 2, obviously, promote Kellen Moore to interim head coach. And the reason why I'm actually super on board with this idea is not just because of the pedigree of Kellen Moore, which is impressive, and I do think that there's a solid chance that he could take this season and rescue it. I think out of, very few people in the NFL, I'd feel as confident saying, hey, man, I'm sorry. We're handing you really tough situation. Pick up the pieces, see what you can do. I honestly think Kellen Moore gives us a good chance at picking up the pieces at 2-4 and building something out of it. Playoff caliber team. I do. But what I find even more valuable is the evaluation period that you would get in this unique situation. Being able to take a head coach candidate who, let's be honest, no matter what happens, he'll be interviewing for head coaching positions next offseason. Be able to take a candidate like that, hand him a team with the majority of the season still in front of him and say, get to work. We're watching. This is your resume. And see what happens is a pretty big opportunity for any football. Let's see what the Kellen Moore Los Angeles Chargers look like. Does this team look like it's bouncing back? Does the culture look like it's returning? Does it feel like this opportunity is really being grasped by Kellen Moore and we're finding a lot of success all of a sudden? If that's the case, and we got a head coach for a while. Pen to paper, Kellen Moore is a Los Angeles Charger for the next 3-4 years? Awesome. We found our guy. And we found him because we gave him the best opportunity to prove to us that he's our guy. That would make a huge impact for the season, not just this year, which, again, I do believe that he could help us get the season back on track. And I think also it really heavily determines what we do next year. If Moore emerges as a serious head coach in the NFL, I think we continue to throw down. We keep bidding on talent. We keep the roster top-heavy if we can. We're going to lose players no matter what because of the money situation. Justin Herbert's contract is going to start kicking in the next couple of seasons. But it's not time to give up on the team. I don't think it ever is, but we're less of a rebuild than I thought. If Kellen Moore collapses, maybe it is kind of sort of time to rebuild a tiny bit, right? Not even rebuild. Let's just get younger. Let's get some new weapons, right? I think Keenan Allen's the only one that I feel comfortable keeping. After that, I love Austin Eckler. Let's get a bruiser. Let's get a 3-down back. Let's get a guy out here that's can really ground and pound, give us those 2 or 3 yards that we've been desperately needing for the last couple of seasons. Let's get that tight end. Let's go after Brock Bowers. Let's get some more speed on wide receiver, right? Let's really make sure that life for Justin Herbert is as easy as possible, right? Even if Moore collapses. But everywhere else, on defense, might have to move on from some guys. I think we already talked a little bit about Khalil Mack, et cetera, et cetera. Let's get some of the money off the roster. Let's get some youth out here. Let's start that process as we look for the next head coach of the Chargers. And let's get a nice guy this time. Let's get a big name. I don't care what's going on, with Michigan and all that kind of stuff, but Harbaugh needs to be called at least once or twice. There's been rumors, blah, 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 blah. Maybe not. I don't know. We haven't even begun that conversation yet. Let's get somebody with some friggin' pedigree this time around, if that's what we're looking for next season. But who knows? We may have the guy on the roster all along. It could be Kellen Moore, y'all. Imagine how dumb we would feel if Kellen Moore ended up going to a different team. Imagine that he goes to, I don't know, the Packers or some NFC team, and they just start lighting it up. How dumb would we? Well, we have insurance this season to assure ourselves that that doesn't happen by handing him the team for at least half a year to prove to us that he's our next guy, that he is the guy that we've been looking. If it doesn't work out, we saved ourselves a headache. If it does work out, my goodness, we got ourselves a nice name going forward. I don't know. We need time to find a new identity. We need to give Herbert weapons. We need to build that secondary, but spend some time rebuilding our financial strength. I think we can really determine how we do that with who's leading this team now and into the future. Tough week. I know we talked mostly about coaching this week, but it's the conversation that needs to be had. Keep having it. I get it. We're all upset. I get it. A lot of us gave up on the season. Put your feet up. Let's start thinking about what this team needs. Me personally, I see an opportunity to learn from our mistakes, to learn from a bad situation. But that takes some bravery. That takes some guts, some cojones. Like, you got to go out there, make a big move. At coach, at who's leading the team. Because right now, you're letting this sinking ship and its captain take the crew with it. We got to find a way to save what we can. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you like what you saw here, hit us up with the like and sub on your way out. Remember, I will not be streaming the game on Sunday. I will be at that game. If you want a chance to meet me and my wife, Mrs. Director, we'll be at Thunder Alley for at least a few hours before the game. I'll give you guys updates I can while we're out in Los Angeles. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. We'll catch you next time. As always, bolt up, stay frosty. Keep your head up, Bolt fam. We'll find some light at the end of this tunnel soon, I promise.